Mount Rest Home, a group of 14 ladies gathered at Second Presbyterian Church in 1893, and their idea was to start a home for elderly, impoverished ladies. They were mostly nurses, retired, and school teachers. At that time, you recall, we had no Social Security, we had no retirement for teachers, and they were lovely ladies that just were out of funds. So they decided that they would rent 12 rooms on 2nd Street in Knoxville. I don't know where that is. And Mr. Russ Strong, a prominent Knoxvillian, paid the rent on those 12 rooms every month they were there. And it was $25 a month total for 12 rooms. Then in 1901, the board decided that they needed a house. And luckily, this house was built by Robert Houston, the first mayor of Knox County. And he sold it to Mr. Joseph Mabry. Well, Mr. Joseph Mabry, with his big heart, gave it to the ladies on the board to operate. They had no funds, and they raised the money by having a bazaar and luncheon downtown churches. And that's all they had. Then years later, Knox County helped support them. In 1971, Mr. John S. Van Gelder, and this is the most important part, left his entire estate to this home in honor of his mother and father, who lived here. He lived in New York City. He had many beautiful antiques and crystal and all sorts of accessories. And this home was furnished by all of his things. So we didn't need to go out begging for money anymore because he had sufficient funds to support us. And we had one time, and before he left his estate to us, we had 12 ladies and we had $15 in the bank. So you can see how we operate on a shoestring. Then in 1997, we gave it to Knox Area Rescue Mission. And they operated first as a center for abused children and mothers. But they found they couldn't keep it secure from the irate husbands, so they moved most of them out. No children stay here anymore. So, you have any questions?
I do. I'd love to know about your childhood memories.
Well, my only memory was coming here with my grandmother, who was on the board at that time, and I went down and played in the spring house here in the other lot. And that's all I remember about that. But I do remember the luncheons and bazaars.
Did you understand what was going on here?
Well, I came out here a few times with my mother to visit Miss Anna Camp, which is where one of the television stations is in her home, and Miss Elizabeth Rose, a nurse, who nursed me as a baby. So that's about that. We learned that we were spending more to keep our ladies here because people were not eager to send them because they wanted the Social Security checks. So we got down to, I think, 11 ladies, and it was costing more to keep them here than it would be in a nursing home. So we decided to give our funds to East Tennessee Foundation, let them manage them, and then they have a grants committee that we give to charities every other year, right, Jan? Mm-hmm. And this year we gave away $200,000. So that money of Mr. Van Gelder's is working all the time.
And still doing kind of the same thing to a broader.
Yes. We're helping people that need help. Not we are, I'm certainly not, but they are.
But you help. I mean, you and others who.
I was the trustee of Mount Rest, and I've always been interested in the East Tennessee Foundation. You do a good job.
And we love working with you.
Yes.
Well, and I'll give you credit. you know more about what's going on with the grants a lot of times than some of the panel members. She keeps up with every grant.
No,
She knows
that's
what's up. We
you're-
visited her a few weeks ago, and she started asking questions about the grant panel, and Jan and I go through our notes. But she knew the answers.
you're very generous.
You're very, very dedicated to this cause.
This is a great.
I've got a question, and this doesn't need to be recorded, but did the women get along when you had 11 women living in a house at one time?
Well, we had one lady that was rather strong-willed. She lived in the last room downstairs on the left, and can't remember her name, but she kind of stirred things up a little. It's fun. Well, the little ladies were so appreciative and so nice. We took their Social Security check and gave them $25 spending money. We took care of their funeral. We didn't marry them, but we buried them. So they were a loving group. They appreciated where they were, and really we had the best food in Knoxville. It was a treat when the board members stayed for lunch once in a while.
Well, you had a chef.
Had a Henrietta from Morristown. But that time, that board was different from the board that we had because they actively worked in the home, doing many things because they had no money. But it was just different. They were actively working in the home, whereas we just managed it.
Yeah, they were the hands-on.
Yes,
Originally.
had to be.
What was it like for the women that lived here? Did they have chores that they had to do? I mean, did they take turns
No.
doing things, or?
Keep their room up, and most of them kept it well. Some of the rooms were small, some were large, but they were a happy group.
I can see being happy out here.
Yeah.
We had rockers on the porch and a swing down there. They spent a lot of time on the porch.
Does the building look the same from the outside?
Yes. Now we did add that. I think it's a fire escape there.
Mm-hmm.
We met all the standards of the
Right.
city and state. But it's just think this home it must have been built in 1870 or so. Well, it's good.
You can say anything you
If
want.
we got if we got it in 1893, then it had two owners. So
Was this where the sheriff,
he built it.
he built it?
Robert Houston and Mr. Mabry. And somehow Mr. Mabry was associated with the shooting on Vine. And I don't know whether he was the shooter or the shootee.
I've got one more question. I'm just curious. When you all decided to turn it over to East Tennessee Foundation, there's so many other organizations out there. Why did you choose the East Tennessee Foundation?
Well, Sam and I have been interested in the East Tennessee Foundation early on. A friend of ours, Mr. Frank Fowler, and his son, Sam, I remember coming home one day and telling Sam, would you believe that Mr. Frank and Sam gave $25,000 to start a foundation? At that time, $25,000 was a lot of money. And I just couldn't believe it. And and we thought highly of Mr. Frank. He's a lawyer. And we're friends with his son, Sam. And ever since then, we've been interested one way or another. It's a good place to put your interest, your money, and know it's going to work for the community. I do not work for East Tennessee Foundation.
And you have not been paid to do this.
No, I haven't even gotten a donut. Well, on the front row on the left is me. The next holding the plaque is Joanne Schwarzenberg. Let's do it this way. Myself, Margaret Brownlee, Joanne Schwarzenberg holding the plaque. Blank. Elizabeth Rochelle and Laura O'Callaghan, and the one I missed is Mary Todd Finch. So is that clear enough? And all those are living but Margaret Brownlee. That's the last of our board was getting too old. We could be here. We were qualified to be here. So that's that.
But it was a wonderful event, and it was,
Yeah,
we were so delighted to be
Well
able to
deserved.
honor you at National
Where
Philanthropy
did we
Day.
have it?
Where did we have it? I think it was at Crown Plaza,
Plaza.
I thought it was too.
and I think it was 2003.
So as you can see, we're getting older than our clients.
I'm sorry.
You can see by this picture we were getting older than our clients. Still are.
Squirt, you'll never be old.
Hmm?
You'll never be
No.
old.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But I thank you for this interview.
And we thank you.
I didn't expect it, but I was fairly well remembered it.